Hey guys, it's Caitlin, and today I'm going to talk about something a little bit different. It's not gardening related or zero waste related. It's about a different part of my life that I want to share. So for those of you who don't actually know me in real life person, um, my husband and I, and our family, we are a foster family here in the state of Florida. And I just wanted to make a video about why we became foster parents and why you should become foster parent. That being said, I do not believe that everyone should be a foster parent. It's very challenging, to say the least. But anyway, so Chris and I think I'm going to just start out at like the beginning of my story about how I became exposed to foster care and foster children, and then how that set in and when it actually took place. So probably at least, I want to say 6 or so years ago. 6 or so years ago, I was preparing a lesson for kids church. Chris and I worked in kids church, and we used to bus in kids from like the neighborhoods and bring them in to come to children's church. And I wrote the sermons. We were kind of like, we were our children's pastors, like secondhand. We've always had a heart for children and loving children. And I just think they're so valuable. And I love them. I love all of them. So, anyways, I don't know how I found it, but I stumbled across the short YouTube film called Removed. And I'll link it down below. It changed my life, basically, when I saw that. And when I watched it, I had everybody I knew watch it. And it just really touched me on such a level. And it's about a girl going into foster care, and it's narrated by her. So, that just kind of put it in my heart to look in, I'm like, maybe I'll be a foster parent, So then it wasn't until years later, Addison was 1, I think, and we decided to grow our family. Now, up until that point, Chris never wanted to be a foster parent. We always talked about adoption, but he always said that he could never say goodbye to a child in his home after loving them. It would just be too hard for him. He just couldn't give children back. And, I mean, that's understandable. That's a major, I think, deterrent of people becoming foster parents, is because nobody likes to say goodbye. That's the
Bye.
Yeah, that's the hardest part.
Bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.
So, Addison was about 1, and I was like, what would you, I told him, I was like, I really feel like we're supposed to be foster parents. Could we like look into it? So he's like, yes. He's like, but I only want a child. Please don't touch that. If you want to go play, can you go play in your room? Mommy's trying to make a video.
Why?
Because I am.
But Mom, I want you to come.
I will.
There.
I will in a little bit.
Oh, fine.
Okay. So he's like, okay, I'll do the foster care thing, but I don't want a child older than Addison. Addison has to be the oldest child in the home. That's a non-negotiable. I was like, okay, that's fine. I think that too. I think, a baby would be great. So for whatever reason, the paperwork never got turned in. It just never got done. And we did not become foster parents that year. And about a year later, I went to him again. And I was like, Chris, I really feel like our time is now. We're supposed to be foster parents, at least for now. And he's like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about that. I've been thinking a lot about it too, but I've been thinking that we need to change our age range. I was like, well, that's funny you mentioned that because I feel like we need to change our age range. And this is how you know that God was working on both of us at the same time, because we both said that we felt like we were supposed to foster teenage girls. That's insane. Nobody. Teenagers are hard. And I always said that I was never going to work in youth group because I didn't even like teenagers. So for me to say that, that was really saying something. And then for Chris to have such a, stance a year ago and then come to me and be like, actually, I feel like we need to change it. It was so crazy. So that's kind of how we became foster parents, and that's why we're fostering teens and we don't have babies. We just both felt called that we are supposed to be giving back to the children and families in our communities, and we are not plugged into a church. We go to church, but we're not plugged in like we used to be. And Chris and I have always wanted to. We just love children and we love families, and the reason why I'm a foster parent is because it's needed. It's so needed. Everybody struggles, and if I believe, if you look at a family whose child is in foster care and you think that it could never happen to you, you can never be addicted to drugs or fall into this abusive home. If you are so high up on your horse to say that would never happen to you, I just want to encourage you that you're not better than any of those people. Anybody whose child is in foster care, you're not better than them. And it's hard being a parent, and we just need help. We need each other's help, and that's the only way that we can survive in this world, is if we're helping others. And not everybody should be a foster parent. If you don't have patience, don't be a foster parent, because you are going to be dealt with a lot of things that you're going to have to be patient on. You're going to have to be patient with children and their behaviors, and it's just a whole new world. But specifically, one of the reasons why I felt like God was telling me to foster teenage girls is when he was telling me that, I just felt like he was telling me that I needed to plant seeds. And I didn't understand that until, I knew what he was talking about, but I didn't really fully understand what planting seeds was like until I started a garden and I realized what it truly meant. And I might make a video on that later, but to plant seeds. And for me, that's really hard, because I might never get to see that seed grow. I might never see if the work and the love and everything that I've done and tried to show the children that have come into my home, I might never see if it ever mattered. And that sucks, it's because it's a lot of hard work, especially having to get to know somebody, figure out all their likes, dislikes, quirks, their case plans, the caseworkers, if they have medical problems, if something happens and you've never dealt with it before. I've been there, done that now a million times, and you just try to navigate this whole world by yourself, and you're trying to be kind and loving even when children can be screaming at you or being cold towards you. It's a challenge. It is. And I've cried a lot of tears. I've yelled when I shouldn't have. I'm not a perfect person, but I just have to hold on to the fact that this is something that God told me to do. And so even if I don't get to see it grow, it didn't matter because I was following what God was telling me to do. I might make a different video on like how to become a foster parent. I think it's pretty easy. It's not that hard. There's a lot of rules you have to follow in terms of your home. Everything's got to be looked up. Like, that's just the thing. But yeah, I would just encourage you, if you feel like God is calling you to foster care and to love on children and families, you just need to do it. And the hard work, everything you're doing, it matters. Every kind word you say, every time you show up when no one else shows up, every time you do something thoughtful or say a kind word when someone's not being kind back to you, those are just little seeds. And every single time you continue to do it and continue to show up and work on it, you're watering that seed. And it does matter. And I'm going to leave some like verses of encouragement that I have found encouraging as a foster parent. And so if you guys have any questions or comments or things that you want me to make videos on in regards to foster care, leave them down in the comments below. At this point, and I've only been a foster parent for not even a full year, I feel like I've dealt with every single issue that you could ever deal with a teenager. And I have had some interesting run-ins with caseworkers, and some, like, just the other day they kind of tried to trick us into taking a placement, and I caught that real fast because I know a thing or two. I've been around a little bit now, so, but yeah, leave any comments, anything in the comments down below. And if you're a foster parent, I would love to talk with you and meet with you, and I think that would just be awesome to have just like a community. So yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.